Good morning, students. Am I audible? Hello, students. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Okay, thank you. Uh, so, in the last class, we derived the voltage equation in the phasor form of the stator coil. Any one of the stator coil will have this structure of voltage equation, and if we know the voltage equation of one coil, we know the voltage equation of the every other coil, stator coil, because
तुमको
they are simply phase shifted by 120 degree in time. So what very interesting thing, whether you have observed it or not, I don't know, but let me try to point out that what we have achieved is something remarkable. Initially we started with space distribution of flux, rotation of the flux in space. Space means the machine space, rotor space, air gap space. Flux was rotating and a coil was stationary. So what we have now achieved is, we have achieved that what will be the voltage expression of the coil which is stationary, and we have seen the voltage is showing now a time variation. So a space variation has an equivalent effect in time variation. So a kind of space-time relationship has been established. Due to the space variation of rotation is space variation, and space variation is producing time variation in flux linkage, and that time variation of the flux linkage, when it is taken a derivative of that flux linkage, we are getting a time variation in the voltage that is induced in that coil. So space variation is the cause and time variation is the effect, and this is reciprocal. Like if I produce a time variation of current in the stator coil, it will eventually produce in a system of three coils a rotational magnetic field, and which is space variation, which is rotating magnetic field is at any point in the space is different different from any other point in the space. So time and space variation are becoming equivalent, one form of the other. The same thing we can express either in space way or in the time way. They have similar. So therefore, the angles that we had earlier talked about, the delta angle between two rotating magnetic fields, will now be transferred into angle between two time phasors. Electrical engineering, we already mostly did circuit theory is concerned about time phasors, not space phasor. They don't know anything about space phasor. So this is now becoming a circuit, and the circuit means it is easy to solve. So if I look at the circuit form, what it is saying, Vs, you look at Vs, it is the voltage that is applied at the uh, applied to the stator terminal, one of the coils. Rs is the coil resistance. Is is a sinusoidal quantity, time varying sinusoidal quantity. We know AC quantity. We know there is a phasor form of that. We have learned that in the first year. So that is that form. This represents a sine wave, and that's why on the top one bar type of symbol we put. Most often students are forgetting to put that, but you are supposed to put that, indicating that it is not a scalar quantity. It is a kind of, it has magnitude and phase. So in time we should put a bar on that, and Is represents in this form. Mostly we define it as the RMS value of the sinusoid, and Vs defines the RMS value of the voltage sinusoid. Then omega s is the frequency. This frequency is the frequency of the supply, and LLS1 is the leakage inductance of the coil, the flux that is linking that coil only and linking no other coil, and Is is the current through that leakage inductance, So it is the current through the stator, basic current through the stator. Okay, and this corresponds to the drop, leakage inductance drop in the leakage inductance, supposed to be quite small. This is supposed to be quite small. And then we have one quantity that corresponds to the voltage induced. The voltage induced in the coil, and that has an expression. Since it is a circuit, it will have an expression corresponding to omega Li. Since it is a circuit, it will have an expression corresponding to omega Li, where Li will correspond to the flux linkage. Li will correspond to the flux linkage, and you see it will be orthogonal in time with respect to the current that produces it, because you have learned that in an inductor the voltage and currents are related by this 90-degree phase shift. Okay, so this phase shift is now time phase shift. Okay, so if somebody is sin omega t, another is cos omega t, so that kind of relationship. IMS is corresponding to the magnetizing current, which means the current that is responsible for creation of the air gap flux. This current is responsible for creation of the air gap flux, right? And the inductance that is linked to it, that means the inductance and Li, the flux linkage is Li, dimensionally Li. So that L is not really the inductance of the self inductance of the coil, nor is the self inductance minus the leakage inductance. It is an equivalent so-called magnetizing inductance, which is 3/2 times LMS1. 3/2 is coming because this is describing what is happening in a system of 3 stator coils and 3 rotor coils. So that is why the 3/2 equivalent effect is 3/2 LMS1 that we have shown, that we have described. This one we have described last class. This LMS1 was the coil inductance. Coil inductance responsible for creation of the mutual flux. But together, when three values are there, its effect becomes 3/2. This is where the implication of a 3-phase system is coming, because looking at it, it is looking like a single phase. It is looking like a single phase, but you are see that inductance value is not the single phase coil inductance. It is 3/2 of times that. Okay, and this is where the other implication of the coupled circuit, stator and rotor coupled circuit, is coming, because this current is not IS. It is IS plus IR dash. In fact, IR dash is the turns ratio scaled rotor current. IR dash, that is the turns ratio scaled rotor current, is here. And IMS as such is representing the flux in the air gap, the flux total flux linkage of the coil due to both stator current and rotor currents. Both stator currents, rotor currents in a system of 3 stator coils and 3 rotor coils, right? So this is why this is called the magnetizing inductor, magnetizing current of the machine with respect to the stator. You must understand that these currents will have an equivalent representation in the rotor. IMS, IMR, definitely it should have. Why not, right? Same flux I can create. What it is saying is this is the equivalent current that you should pass in the stator coil to create the same amount of flux linkage as is happening with current in stator coils and rotor coils. If you have solely this current, solely stator coils, you are supposed to pass this amount of current as is, so that the balance is there. This will create the same amount of flux as is being created now by a system of 3 stator coils and the rotor coils, right? So this is the implication of that. One may think, by looking at the equation, one may think that IMS is more than IS or IR. It is very interesting to note that IS and IR, the major component of it, is actually cancelling each other. They are in phase opposition. This is the load component. So we divide the currents into 2 parts. IS current, I should divide it into two parts. IS current is IMS plus a component of the current that is solely produced to cancel the rotor current related MMF or rotor current created MMF, right? So the magnitude of IMS is small. Magnitude of the IMS is small and it is orthogonal to the voltage that is the back EMF. The complete expression of J omega S LMS into IMS is back EMF in the air gap, right? So that is the back EMF in the stator part. And for total back EMF in the stator part. And this IMS is the effective flux or current that is responsible for creation of this back EMF. Now it is being produced by the summation of these two, both stator and rotor currents. It is a vectorial summation. So IS and IR major components are cancelling. So sometimes we say that for a very good machine, IS is very nearly equal to IR. They are cancelling each other. And therefore the magnetizing current required for creation of the flux is almost negligible, nearly equal to 0. That's why you call the magnetizing current is very less. Maybe 10%, 20%. We said that in terms when we learned transformer. But now we will not say that less. Can anybody tell why? It is not as less as a transformer. Why? Can anybody say?
Sir, can you?
Can I? I'm not able to hear you. Your voice disappeared.
Yeah, sir. Can you explain like why IS and IR will be out of phase and why are they nearly equal?
Why are they nearly equal? Why are they nearly equal? If you look at the expression, can you look at the expression first? If you look at the expression and suppose that there is no current in the rotor, how is it possible? If there is zero load torque that you are developing, you have to say yes to me so that I get where you are understanding. Suppose IR is equal to 0, right? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Hello? Suppose IR is equal to 0. When it happens? Tell me when it happens.
When no load torque is there.
Under low load. That means machine is running at synchronous speed, right? So under that condition, no load condition, IR is equal to 0. Agreed? That time IS is equal to IMS, right? Right?
Yes, sir.
That time IS is equal to IMS. Let us ignore the importance of RS and leakage inductance. Because let us ignore for the simplified understanding. Then, when you are applying a constant voltage, what has to remain constant? You are applying a constant voltage, let us say, in this equation. So what is Vs essentially? Vs is equal to this part, right? Vs is this part. Agreed or not?
Yes, so IMS has to remain constant, I think.
IMS has to remain constant, irrespective of the loading, because this is what is the major part. This part is negligible. This is nearly equal to 0. This is nearly equal to 0. Resistance is nearly equal to 0. You don't expect the leakage flux to be very high. So this part is nearly equal to 0. So essential equation is Vs is equal to Es. That is the basic equation. Vs is nearly equal to Es. That is the basic equation. So if the basic equation has to hold good, what has to hold good is IMS has to remain constant. Okay, IMS has to remain constant. So then what has to happen? But loading will happen subsequently. So what has to happen? IS plus IR vectorially has to remain constant. So how it will happen? Let me take another page. Initially, let us say this is equal to IMS. This has to remain constant. So later what has to happen is that IMS, when the loading has happened, this is equal to IS, and I will give more. Sorry, I will give little more. Edit, undo. Edit, undo. Right. Now, what I mean to say practically, this is when loading has happened. So IS will be here. I'm trying it wrong. I'll cancel it. Okay. Right. So our voltage is here. The voltage that is induced is here. Let us say this is Vs. Yes or no? Amritaksha, yes or no?
Yes,
This
sir.
is,
Yes, sir.
yes, this is nearly equal to Es. That's why I am drawing this. Okay. So what will happen is the current that will go in this is this way. This is IR. Okay. And IR plus IS has to be equal to IMS. So what has to happen is that another current which is just same in magnitude but arrow is in this direction. That means I am not drawing because my scale has gone wrong. Let me draw it here, then we will understand probably. This is IMS. I am drawing small because its magnitude is small. This is V. This is the voltage. This is because this is Vs nearly equal to ES. Right? IR is in this direction. What happened? It disconnected? Hello, anybody is able to hear me?
Yes, sir. We're able to.
Yes.
Hello, you are able to hear me?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. So what is happening is IR is here. As the loading is going on, IR is increasing this way. So as the loading, every time it is getting compensated. If this is much loading, is this much loading. If this much loading, it is going this much. If this much loading, it is going this much. That is the component of the current which is cancelling it. Okay. So this is IR. How is it increasing? IR. So this IR and this is the load component of IS. But these things summed up together, right, will have to be equal to IMS. So what is IS? IS is then here. It has taken this part and this part together. This is IS. This is ISL. That means that is just required to compensate IR. Because the summation has to be always equal to IMS. So the actual current as the loading is going on is going in this manner. Sorry, not in this manner, in this manner. Always maintaining IS. So it will be this plus this one, this manner. It is going this manner. And then this manner. Am I okay? Have I explained it? This may be one loading condition. That may be IR1. That may be IR2. Like that IR3. And corresponding ISL1, ISL2, ISL3. So this is the way this thing is in. You must notice that this V and I are actually in phase, but our current direction I am giving always in. always into the coil. If it is a rotor coil, I am saying the IR is in. But in a practical situation, actual current is how? Stator in the motoring mode, stator current is in and actual current is out. This is load current. This is the counter because power is going out. So the convention wise, since I am following this convention always, that current in is positive. That is my convention. Current in is positive. So therefore I am saying IS plus IR is equal to IMS, which is the magnetizing current. It's and you ask me why its magnitude is very small. Its magnitude is very small because this is related to the reluctance of the air gap. What is deciding this? What is deciding? It is basically the flux. The flux of the air gap. How do I define? Flux air gap is overall what? NS IS plus NR IR divided by the reluctance of the air gap. Right? And this is pretty good. This is reasonably large value because it's air gap. Reluctance of the air gap. Reluctance of the iron path is negligible. It is basically decided by the reluctance of the air gap. So this has reasonably low value and therefore reasonably low amount of current is required to maintain the air gap. This is reasonably high value. So this is reasonably low and this current requirement will not be that much. That much requirement will not be there. Whatever is required. Whatever is required to establish the, because essential flux path is what? One, this is what MMF source. This is the basic circuit. This is the NI source, sigma NI. I will say sigma NI, all NIs. NI is due to stator, NI is due to rotor. This is the path. This is the NI path. This is the MMF plus. Okay, this is plus minus, right? And this is the air gap. This is the air gap. R air gap. And this is the flux into air gap. This is the basic magnetic circuit. So whatever is required for this and what is required, how much is ultimately required, we always decide it from the back way. Like we know how much flux density we can tolerate in the iron path. So that is what is the flux density maximum. We know it cannot be. Flux density is a property of the material. It is decided by the iron. So we cannot create any more flux density in the air gap than what is tolerated by the peak flux density of the material. The material here is iron. Because though the essential flux lines are decided, flux magnitude is decided by the reluctance of the air gap, but it is passing through the iron. Iron is giving a direction to the flux path. So it is passing through the iron. And while doing so, iron should not saturate. Iron like conductor. Irons are like conductors of our electrical current circuit. So that should not have much resistance. As we said, the conductor should not have a resistance. Similarly, here the iron path should not have much reluctance. So here the reluctance should be completely decided by the reluctance of the air gap, right? So we know flux density of the magnetic material for a given machine, we know this dimension, we know the D and L dimension. So that gives the flux. So that much flux has to be there. We know the reluctance of the air gap because we know for a mechanical reason, we must have, in order to have between the stator and rotor, we must create that kind of air gap. Otherwise, the rotation will be mechanically impossible. So from that constraint, we know what is the air gap length G. This is the stator and this is the rotor. So we must know that one. That decides the air gap, reluctance of the air gap. What was the formula? This may be G by A of the air gap, and mu is where mu naught L. Mu is numerator or denominator? Mu is in the denominator, right? So this way we know the reluctance formula of the air gap, right? So you see that certain amount of air gap must be required to enable the rotor to rotate without getting obstructed by some small portion of the air gap. So there has to be there, and air gap is essentially where the energy is stored. So we need In order to store the energy, we need this air gap, right? Electromagnetic energy is basically stored in the the magnetic energy stored in the air gap, right? So this air gap decision has been given to me. So in essence, the reluctance is then decided by this simple formula, and flux density is there, and then I know what would be the total MMF. That MMF that is responsible for only for the magnetizing current. This current is nothing but, this summation in I is nothing but what we defined as N stator into IMS. This is the equivalent stator current responsible for creation of the magnetic field in the air gap, right? So it is unchanged and it is not very big, but machine current is big. Why machine current is big? Because the energy is not all the time getting stored in the air gap. It is passing through the air gap. There is certain amount of energy that is remaining there. That is the magnetic field. Only through this magnetic field, this energy transfer can occur. So what is happening is the rotor is getting loaded. Rotor is taking the current that is responsible for transferring power to the mechanical load. It is getting reflected there in the form of torque. In the form of torque, it is getting reflected there, and that is then coming to the stator, because stator has the compulsion. Stator, due to the voltage equation, it has a compulsion to maintain the net MMF constant or the net air gap flux constant. So if it has the constraint to maintain the net air gap flux constant, what has to do? It has to cancel the MMF otherwise created by the rotor coil, current in the rotor coil, which is responsible for transfer of power, which is responsible for production of torque. So it cancels it. The moment rotor, you are producing torque, rotor current it has to increase, and that has to increase current has to be balanced by the stator current. Only thing is that these MMFs are in the opposite direction. Their magnitudes are almost equal. So after all the summation, the stator and rotor MMF summation, we will get an MMF which corresponds to stator current NS into IMS. So IMS is called the magnetizing current. It is just creating the magnetic field. And magnetic field creation is necessary to transfer power, but it is not reflecting the actual loading condition. Looking at IMS, I cannot decide whether the machine is under no load or full load. I cannot decide. It is unchanged. Magnetic field requirement, that is simple magnetic circuit, first principle magnetic circuit. That is what decides this IMS. Amrita, did I answer it?
I understood that point where IS must adjust itself according to the loading so that IMS must remain constant. Sir, but I still did not get why IR is like opposite to VS, 180 out of phase.
Okay, let me do it. Let me show you. Suppose I have a coil here and another coil here, right? Agreed. This is a dot and this is a dot convention. Okay. Yes or no?
Yes.
I'm just drawing a circuit. Suppose I give this current, I say this current is IS. I say this current is IR, right? This is NS and this is NR. Okay. Can you tell me what is the total MMF of this magnetic circuit?
NSIS plus NRIR.
NSIS plus NRIR, right? It is equal to total magnetic circuits NS into IMS. Okay. Now, had I drawn this circuit this way, what you would have said? NS IS is equal plus, not plus, minus NR IR is equal to NS IMS, right? So what is it implying? Suppose for simplicity I consider IMS is very small, is equal to nearly equal to 0. So what is it saying? IS and IR, and oh, okay, you are not saying why it is voltage related. Suppose the voltage is V here, VS here. Suppose this is VS here, so it is VR here. So VS and VR polarity is same. Do you agree?
Yes, sir.
VS is plus minus. That time VR is plus minus, right? Suppose you have put a resistance here. That is a current flowing through this, right? So the load current is opposite to IR. This is IL. Whereas if I put a load current here, load current is same direction as IL, right? When we do the phasor diagram, we say that VS, if it is VS, VR is also in phase, VR, and here, figure number 2, I will say that, let me call IR dash, IR dash. I will call what is IL? IL is also in phase, which is equal to IR dash, right? And what about here? Here I will say IR dash is, IL is here, IR dash is opposite direction. So that is a convention. In our this derivation, you see in the circuit derivation that we did, we put the current in. I had put the current in as positive. So therefore I am writing this MMF equation is equal to this. Later I will do, but common sense is this. This is commonsensical. Current in, power out. That's all. That is common sense. That's why after that we do not do IR dash. We put IL as the secondary current and move on with that. Okay. But if I want to be mathematically very correct, if I draw VS here, I will draw in this circuit IR. I will draw here. IR I will draw here. Opposite, in phase but opposite, because the arrow direction is in. Arrow direction is in. Phasor is always, convention will be there. What is the convention? Suppose a voltage is there and a load is there. We have a convention of showing the current in this way. This is V and this I. Then we say lagging, leading, but arrow is put in this direction. Since I have changed the arrow direction here, I am going by negating the position of the current. I am saying if it's a resistive load, current lags by 180 degree. I will say not by current is not in phase. I will say the current is 180 degree out of phase if it is a resistive load, because my arrow direction has been put here. Since you have put arrow direction, this is the convention. Normally this is the convention. We put it the arrow direction in this way and say that if it is a resistive load, the voltage and currents are in phase. But had I put, for some reason or other, for my convenience, had I put the current direction in this way, you definitely had to say that I and V are phase shifted by 180 degree. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So that's the thing. That is the thing. You see the yesterday derivation, we had put the current in. I will show you. Maybe I can show you now itself. You see the rotor current direction. Rotor current direction, how I have put IR1 in, IR2 in, IR3 in. You see this? The arrow direction, the arrow is in.
Yes,
So
sir. I got the essence.
Okay. Okay. So this is the reason what we are doing it. Okay. So if that is the stator voltage equation, the rotor voltage equation will be, can we say something from just replicate? It should be identical in structure. So what should I write? Common sense. Let us say, Amrutaksha, you tell me, I will write it. What will be the rotor voltage equation? Let us say it is a squirrel cage rotor. So what will be the VR? VR is equal to 0 for squirrel cage rotor. So the equation will be 0 is equal to, you understand why it is 0? Because terminal is short. Terminal is short. Not induced EMF is short, but terminal is short. And see the current direction. With this current direction, I should write it as RR IR plus J omega. What should I write? Omega suffix
R.
R.
smaller L leakage R1, then what current? I R
Yeah.
phasor plus what? J. I am writing with respect sitting on the rotor. I don't have any other sense of frequency. I don't have any other sense of frequency. And this is L M R, magnetizing inductance with respect to the rotor. Okay, their relationship we already know with respect to the rotor, and the current will be I M R. Right? This is the magnetizing current with respect to the rotor. I have no sense of knowing what else is happening. What is happening in this case? So let us then we have two similar equations, but we are not able to make them combine. We have to make them combine to form a combined equivalent circuit. So what we have to do is, you see that we have realized that this part is related to the voltage induced part. So let us see whether we can play with this thing and make something equivalent to that, right? So let us write it one more time. Acha, first, can you tell me what is omega r in terms of omega s? What is omega r? How did we define slip? Slip is equal to, we had defined this as omega s minus omega. What was the slip? How did we define the slip? Slip was defined
Omega
as
synchronous
minus omega
rotor
by omega synchronous, right? So right, omega synchronous minus omega rotor. Can we say that after multiplying p by 2 in your mind you multiply both of them by p by 2, the top and bottom, then the bottom is omega s,
omega
and
s
and the top is
omega s minus p by 2 into omega r.
right? That is equal to omega r, p by 2 omega sin minus p by 2 omega rotor. This is nothing but omega s minus p by 2 omega rotor. That would be that minus p by 2 omega rotor is equal to the actual frequency that is developed in the rotor. So this is omega r by omega s. So what we can say that omega r, this is the electrical frequency, must understand that this is electrical. Omega rotor is mechanical, right? So this omega r is equal to s into omega s. The frequency of the rotor is slip frequency. Whatever the frequency of the stator into slip, right? That is the thing. So in that equation, if I just try to write it, what we will say, write it as 0 is equal to, that equation I'm writing, 0 is equal to r r I r plus j s omega s l l r1 I r plus J S omega S L M S. Let me do trick now. I am LM that is equal to NR LMS into NR by NS square, right? And IMR is equal to, I am doing it as IMS, okay, into NS by NR. Have I done correctly? Right? Achha, this is IR, I will say IR dash into IR dash, this is stator, NS by NR. Instead of IR, I am replacing it by IR dash NS by NR. Instead of IR, I am replacing by NS by NR. Okay, and this is, I am replacing by okay, this one I will also replace LR1, okay, that is equal to that is, I am trying to move it into stator thing reference. That means that LR1 dash into NR by NS square. Maybe I'm writing, changing too many things one go. So okay, so shall I do systematically? Let me do a little systematically. Okay, so let me cancel this line. Let me cancel this line. So let us say first I write 0 is equal to RR IR. First do the frequency transformation only. S omega S. First I am doing frequency transformation. I am not changing the variables. So J S omega S L M R into IR plus IS dash. Okay, so right, so IR into this, right? So this is the equation. So now Amritaksha, is it okay? This equation is correct, right?
Yes, it is correct.
Achha. Now let us divide this equation by S. So what I get? Both sides. So this I get RR IR by S bar plus J omega S LLR1 IR, right, plus J omega S LMR into IR plus IS. This is the first step because I wanted to match the stator frequency. I wanted this equation to match the stator frequency. Now in the second step, what I will do is that I will put in place of IR dash, RR, in place of that I will do RR rotor current RR dash. So rotor current, these are related by so let us say if I want to convert into the stator reference frame, so what I do is this variable, so I am just multiplying it. First I am doing this one, so this is NS by NR. I am multiplying all sides by this into RR by S. I am multiplying it by this. So J omega S LLR into NS by NR square into IR plus J omega S LMR into NS by NR square into IR plus IS dash. So this therefore can be thought of as 0 is equal to IR into, it is a stator. So this is IRR dash by S plus J omega L. This is LLR dash. This dash is stator reference frame. Stator with respect to stator. IR plus J omega S. This is LMS into IR plus IS dash. Right? Now multiply both sides by, all sides by NR by NS. So multiply NR by NS. Multiply NR by NS. So what is the equation then? What is the equation then? Then I write next page. 0 is equal to RR dash by S into IR dash stator with respect to stator reference frame J omega S L leakage R dash into IR dash plus J omega S into L M S into IR dash plus IS. It was IS dash. After conversion, it has become IS, and this was IR. After conversion, it has, after multiplication by NR by NS, it has become this. This is, all these things are stator reference frame currents. This is a stator reference frame magnetizing inductance. This is a magnetizing inductance of the, is a leakage inductance of the rotor with respect to the stator reference frame. This is the resistance of the rotor coil with respect to the stator reference frame, right? That's why these things are dash, things are coming. So you see now, this is this and this equation. The earlier equation was what? The stator voltage equation was what? RS, IS, J omega S, SLS, IS plus J omega S, LMS, IS plus IR dash. Yeah, now we have got what we want. We have got one common branch. You see these two voltages, this is the common stuff. So this must be the common stuff in the equivalent circuit. So let us first create that common area. Common thing is one inductance, metaphorically one inductance. That inductance we call it IMS, and we have to pass two currents, summation currents. That means one side I think that the current is IS, another side I think the current is IR dash, that is coming here. And these two things we already know. This current, metaphorically we say that, or as a variable we call this current as IMS, magnetizing current. So this branch I have taken care of. Now I have to take care of this. So it is easy. It is just a resistance and inductance. So I say that this is a resistance RS. This is, I'm talking about this one. So this is resistance RS. This is an inductance whose drop we say that this. So let us say now this is nothing but JX1. That means we are defining this one as X1. Omega S LLS. This is the leakage inductance. X1 represents the leakage inductance. And the second side we represent, this is at this, the second side, secondary side is what? Secondary side is also having a leakage inductance, and this leakage inductance we define it as X2. So this is JX2, and then we have a resistance on it. This resistance value is funny. It is not, unlike our common sense, it is not RR, it is RR by S. This is the effect of the loading or the torque production. Torque
Sir, we can't hear you.
Yeah. Hello, am I audible again?
Yes, sir, now you're audible.
Okay. So this becomes the equivalent circuit of the machine, and this is the supply. Now
So
it's a circuit. Yeah.
So
please.
the rotor current will be IR dash, right? Since it is taken to status.
Thank you. Sure, 100%. This is x2 dash also. This is not x2, it is x2 dash. X2 will be defining as the omega s LLR. This is x2 dash. Be careful. Sometimes I miss it. IR dash, x2 dash, this. All are frequency omegas. The beauty is that here no second frequency is there. This is called JXM also. This is called JXM or X5. This is called JXM or X5. Okay, so XMS, to be more clear, because I am doing everything with respect to stator. Everything with respect to stator. So it is XMS. The current is IMS. What is the equivalent rotor currents? MMF balance. That means we will write it as NS IMS is equal to NR IMR. This is the equivalence. That means IMR is equal to NS IMS by NR. That is the equivalence. Always any current equivalence, if you want to do the MMF balance. Okay. What is IR dash? What I meant by IR dash is equal to actual IR into NR by NS. That is what is IR dash. Right? Resistances all get scaled by NS by NR square. Right? So whatever the RR into NS by NR whole square is equal to IRR dash with respect to the stator. Resistances, inductances, they all get scaled in that manner. Okay, current gets scaled in the MMF manner. That is what happens when you scale the current. Right? So after this, it's a circuit theory problem. It's not any other problem except the circuit network problem. Achha, another small qualitatively, we just a little bit understand this. This is the all the loading, etc. Whatever is happening in the secondary side is represented by this resistance. But if we break it a little more, then what we can think that this is this, this is this, this is this. I'm not changing here, but you have a physical resistance in the rotor. So let us separate it out. We call it RR dash, and the loading effect, we separate it out. And then what we do is, then we define the loading as RR dash into 1 minus S by S. Together, they are equivalent to RR dash by S. But this is loss inside the rotor, in rotor, copper loss, and this is the corresponds to the mechanical power output. Must understand that this is showing a resistance as if a circuit component, but it's a representation of the what is happening to the power transfer in the load. That is being represented as a circuit element, and that circuit element is therefore having such a funny value, RR dash into 1 minus S by S. So this is what is mechanical load effect of the mechanical load in the electrical equivalent circuit. This is called the equivalent circuit of the induction machine under steady state. To be more specifically, per phase equivalent circuit of the induction machine under steady state. So this is how we can divide the total resistance seen by the rotor side. Rotor is seeing a resistance of RR dash by S, but that has two components. One component is its own coil resistance. Make a difference. Understand that the coil resistance remains coil resistance. That is a physical quantity. Loading is represented as a resistance, and that loading part of the resistance is RR dash into 1 minus S by S. This is loading, mechanical loading. When there is no loading, S will become is equal to 1. That means this resistance will collapse to 0. That is why sleep is equal to 1. This resistance is equivalent to 0. And sleep is equal to 0, this resistance becomes infinite. Therefore, there is no current in the rotor. Sleep can go between 0 to 1. When sleep is equal to 1, sleep is equal to 1 means this resistance is equal to 1. This RR dash into 1 minus S by S is equal to 0. Right? So there is no mechanical power output. Right? And the sleep is equal to, when the sleep is equal to 0, that is when it reaches the synchronous speed, then this is equal to, this RR dash by S tends to go to very high, so therefore there is no current. And then again there is no power transfer because power is I square R. Okay, so in the next class we will discuss about these things in more detail, more intricate detail. However, just to understand that two different operating points in the torque speed characteristics, we are now talking about two torque speed characteristics. We'll define the torque, we'll derive the torque speed characteristic also, but just telling that so far we have said that this is omega sin and this is omega is equal to omega. This is the mechanical speed, omega main. So this is omega or omega m. We are talking about how we are talking, that is we are talking omega rotor. We are saying omega rotor. The omega rotor is equal to 0. This is the torque developed. This is when the torque is developed, but speed being 0, power is equal to 0. So here power is equal to 0. Power is equal to 0. Power to mechanical load is 0. Here also power to mechanical load is 0 because sleep is equal to, here the sleep is equal to 0. Here sleep is equal to 1. Sleep is defined as, you remember, omega S minus omega rotor into P by 2 by omega S. That is sleep, right?
Sir.
Uh-huh.
Sir, we have a test from 11.
Okay, I'm stopping here.
Thank you,
Achha,
sir.
we don't have any class in the next week. Is it like that?
So I think on Monday and Wednesday we don't have a class. On Thursday we'll probably have one.
That means I don't have 3 hours class. Okay. Okay. Thank you very much for your.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.